The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays or Sundays, SOR Media, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of SOR Media is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced? Then come own the night with us.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all
Station atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
Brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized.
It's Tuesday, August 28th, Wednesday, August 29th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We are 150,000 strong nightly on the SOR radio network and Deep Talk Radio, and we say hello to each and every one of you. If you want to check out our archives, you can listen to them for free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. Don't forget, you can also go to questers.ca right now. Questers.ca. Click on the fall conference. Get your tickets right now for the first annual Caribou Paracon, presented by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers, September 28th through 30th. We're going to get into that momentarily. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Go to spacedoutradio.com. Click on the Ensuho banner and subscribe to the channel today. Every couple of months, our resident New Yorker pops by to talk about the topics du jour. As an award-winning author and movie producer, Ian Holt is back tonight to talk about all things weird and strange. It doesn't even have to be paranormal. The man who co-wrote the sequel to Bram Stoker's Dracula is an amazing talent who has dabbled in primetime radio and on MTV back in the days when they actually played music. Don't you feel nostalgic just thinking about that? Tonight, we're going to get into what makes a good horror movie. We will also get into some current events, and since Ian is a music buff, we'll even hit him up on that strange topic that we had last week, the conspiracy as to whether or not Paul McCartney is the real Paul McCartney. And of course, we're going to take your questions as well. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, Everett Themer will be back with our latest edition of The Encounter from the SOR Newsroom. Now, Ian's going to be here in about 10-15 minutes. He is pushing along. He is like literally on a phone call right now with someone in LA talking about movies. Yes, he's got his fingers doing the dialing. Now, I'm thinking he might actually, I know he's a big New York Yankees fan, as am I. I'm wondering if he's sitting at the Bronx right now. No, it'd be midnight there, so the ball game would be over. I'm wondering if the Yankees now are on the West Coast, and he's sitting in some bar right now watching the Yankees play. Maybe they're in like the bottom of the 9th or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? But Ian will be here momentarily. We are just waiting for him to get off in a very important phone call about his movie that is coming out with Mickey Rourke as the key actor in the field. But you know what? I while we actually have this time, I kind of want to go over our Caribou Paracon with you because I'm kind of excited about this because it is 1 month today that we actually start. So the first annual Caribou Paracon will be held up here in beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. We've got this really beautiful resort and spa that we are going to be hosting the event at. And if you have the ability to attend, I highly suggest you do because this is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. We've teamed up with the Canadian Society of Questers in order to bring this event to you guys. And one of the things that we are really looking forward to is that we have something going like all day long. We have speakers. We have like these booths that'll be sold for people who want to sell their own goods. We have a private bar opening up. The Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have events like ghost hunting events that'll be free for you, as well as a UFO Skywatch that Michael W. Hall and his UFO I team are going to put on. It's going to be absolutely great. I want to list you the speakers here because this is going to be a lot of fun. So we have Grant Cameron, who is our keynote speaker. You've heard him many a times on this show. He'll be on again in September to break things down. We're going to talk about, everything he has learned through this whole disclosure process. Lorian Fenton is going to set him up on Friday night because Grant will be speaking on Saturday evening. Lorian Fenton, who's been on this show numerous times as well, and I've been on her show, which is kind of cool. She actually will be speaking about a little bit of disclosure and super soldiers and all that kind of weird, strange stuff as well. And then we have David Weatherly and Ross Allison are going to make a presentation together. And they are going to be bringing up here a bunch of haunted objects because Ross actually owns, down in Seattle, he owns a museum of haunted items. And it has become very, very popular in the metropolitan area of Seattle. And I would highly suggest if you get to the Emerald City that you go check it out. I've actually sent people down to Ross's tour, and they said it was just absolutely amazing. They do this old Navy ship on the that's sitting in dock, and he's got a bunch of other buildings that he does. It's pretty incredible. So they're going to be coming up here, and we'll probably get into some hauntings, some haunted dolls. Now, what's really cool is David recently wrote a book about haunted dolls, the 10 most haunted dolls in North America. And out of all those dolls, there's only 2 that he hasn't seen. One of them is Mandy the Haunted Doll. Now, Mandy, the haunted doll, is actually sitting in a museum about 2 hours north of me in a town called Quesnel. It's a nice little town. Believe it or not, back in like the gold rush days, they actually imported camels into British Columbia instead of using horses. Yeah, camels. Now, there's no more camels around, but nonetheless, Mandy the Haunted Doll is sitting in a case, a glass case at the Quesnel Museum. And so David, Ross, and I are actually going to take a trip up there when they arrive, and we're going to go see that doll because David wants to see what it is all about. We also have Tyson Bannigan, who's been a guest, coming on this show. He's been on once, and he is going to break down little things like dowsing and spirituality and healing. Joe Amaral will be doing the exact same thing. And we also have Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal coming up, which is really cool because the week before that, I will be speaking at Eric Cooper's conference. Get into that in a minute. But Cooper's going to come up and talk about paranormal emergencies and how to deal with them. And Michael W. Hall, as I said, will do the Skywatch. Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada and Ghosts of the Great White North, that you know, he will be taking over on the ghost tours to make sure that everybody has a good time, learns how to ghost hunt if they've never been on one before. We got a couple of locations, including the museum that I work at, that, you know, I do the tour at. You've heard me speak so many times about that, and thank you for letting me ramble about that. But nonetheless, it is going to be a good time because Mike's going to take everybody through there, and we're going to see how it goes. Hopefully there's some pretty good experiences there. And then I'm going to be speaking. I hadn't planned on speaking at my own event, all right, because I think that looks kind of tacky. But nonetheless, I kind of had to fill in because one of our guests had pulled out due to a health emergency. And so we figured, well, what are we going to do? So we decided that I would step in there. And so I'm actually, for the first time, going to be presenting at this conference. I'm going to be presenting about UFOs in Canada. What happens when you give a UFO report to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police? We're going to find out about that. So you've heard me speak a little bit about it on this show. So for the majority of people who are there, you'll get to hear me. Yeah, you'll get to hear me. Now, the week before, for Eric Cooper's Forest Moon Paracon, which will be held September 22nd in Sadro-Woolley, Washington State. So if you're on the West Coast and you want a great little getaway, Sadro-Woolley is beautiful. It's just north of Mount Vernon, like a couple miles, if that, and about 20 minutes south of Bellingham, Washington. So you could totally get there if you're on the West Coast. Very easy to find, but we're having his third annual Paracon there for Forest Moon, and I've been humbly asked to speak again at this for the third year in a row, which every time Eric Cooper asks me to do something, I definitely will do it because I just have a lot of love for the man. He's one of the real dudes. I mean, sure, a lot of people will say, that guy's strange. You know, paranormal emergencies, really? I'm telling you, they do great work. I've used them in my house. But nonetheless, I'm going to be speaking there. And my topic on there, so I literally have like 3 weeks to write up 2 speeches. And there, now, I would do the same one that I'm doing up here. But the problem with that is I'm speaking to a bunch of American people down in Washington State. So Canada's role in ufology really wouldn't go very far with that. So I'm changing topics there, and actually Cooper wants me to speak on the media's role in disclosure, basically since the New York Times article came out last December, which of course I'm going to do. Have to. Coop asked, so I'm going to do it. Nonetheless, it's going to be a great time. So if you guys can get up to Washington State September 22nd, that would be wonderful. And if you could get to ours, September 28th through 30th, that would be fantastic as well. I know the hotel is taking daily phone calls, or the resort is taking daily phone calls for bookings right now. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty awesome. I think we're going to sell out that hotel. It's got like a bunch of like cabins that sleep 6 people, and then it's got the actual hotel part, and it's going to be a great party indeed. Definitely a great party. So if you want to get tickets for that, they are $150 Canadian. So I think that's about $8 American. I don't know what the exchange rate is right now, but no, it's probably closer to around 120 American. So you're saving yourself $30, and you're able to catch a lot of really cool speakers, and you stay in a beautiful area. Just watch out for bears and moose. Seriously. We were going through the trails there the other day driving because Mrs. SOR works at this resort. And we were actually going through the trails, 2 days ago. And I get a lot of my firewood from there. So I go in there, and I know people who own the place, and I go in there and I go through the trails, and I literally am looking to take down any dead trees that have recently fallen. I'll cut them up and I'll hack them up and I'll put them in my firewood pile, because the one thing about up here that I learned very, very quickly is it's the dead trees that really enhance those forest fires. So getting the dead trees out is actually a pretty good thing. So I was actually out there today again, getting my second load of 17 that I need for the winter. Filled up my truck, and it was all good. All good. But yeah, we got to get rid of those dead trees. They're the forest fire bastards, especially when the lightning hits. Those are the ones who cause it all. But so we were coming down the trail, and we were done our day. The truck was full. My daughter was with me, and she's just learning how to drive. And so I got her driving on the trails, and all of a sudden, like we're only going like 10 miles an hour, if that. And she stops the truck, and she's like, "Bear! Bear!" And there was this big old black bear just kind of sitting there, and he saw the truck pull up, and he's like, "Oh, I'm out of here." Then he watched us from the bushes, and, I was going to get out and say hello, but that's a little bit dangerous. But nonetheless, he was gorgeous. I love the black bears. Love it when you can be a part of that type of nature. Now, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool when that happens. So we were able to get some trees out there and make things happen. And it's all good. So you got to come on up, because this area that we're holding this resort, it literally is like 13,000 acres of trails and hiking and biking, and this beautiful resort. That's where we're holding the Paracon. Spruce Hill Resort and Spa. I believe the website, if you want to check it out, is sprucehillresort.com. So I would highly suggest you check it out if you can. We're just waiting on Ian. If you're wondering why I'm rambling, you just tuned in. I am rambling because I'm just waiting for our guest tonight, Ian Holt, movie producer, award-winning author, to come by. He's just on a phone call right now with some movie executive in Los Angeles. So I'm just waiting for him to get wrapped up. I'll send him a message right now. Just say, how long? How long? And then we will make it go. But yeah, once again, back to the Paracons for a second. If you can make it, I would absolutely love it if you could, because we're getting a lot of really cool responses from Spaced Out Radio listeners who are coming up. And I know there's some that I know, some that I don't know, but it's going to be cool to meet a bunch of you. It really is going to be a real cool time meeting a bunch of you, because there's nothing more exciting, and I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter how big your show is, how small your show is. When you meet people who listen to your show for the first time, that is one of the most awesome feelings ever. It really is an awesome feeling. Dale is asking in the chat room, can we make Vlad the Impaler jokes while we are waiting? Oh, of course. Of course. He also asked, do you have to kill the trees again to keep them from waking up as zombie trees? Well, when I actually cut the trees into about 18 inches. 18-inch pieces, and they will go through my wood splitter. So not only are they getting chopped up, into 18-inch sections, but they're also going to be split as well. All right, so Ian says he is going to be here at about 12:38 or 35 Eastern. So we got about another 15 minutes. He's messaging me right now. Or 9:35 Pacific. Which is really cool. Because I got some topics that I want to talk to him about. I got some real good topics that I want to talk to him about. One of the topics that we're going to talk about with him is his love of horror movies. Now, Ian has been around and loves the horror. And for people who haven't known, all you got to do is go on Amazon. Ian and the great-grandson of Bram Stoker actually got together and co-wrote the sequel to Dracula, which he got a lot of really cool awards for. And like I said, he also, if you remember the birthday show back in May, Ian was on the air when I did that one chip challenge. And I am never doing that again, just so you know. I am never doing that again. But nonetheless, Ian was there that night, and he actually brought in his buddy from Public Enemy. That was really cool. Really cool. Music Hall of Famer, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Public Enemy. That was a lot of fun. Chuck D. So it was really cool to have him on board and to have Ian bring him in to Spaced Out Radio. What a birthday present that was. So Ian actually gets some slack for, because the one thing he does love is he loves this show. So he gets a little slack tonight. When Hollywood calls, you definitely have to take that phone call. So we're not really blaming him tonight. No, we're gonna let that go. We're totally gonna let that go tonight. But nonetheless, we got some really cool topics to go over with him, about his love of horror and what makes a good horror movie, which leads into today's thought of the day. So if you haven't answered that on Twitter or my Facebook page, you may want to do that. I would highly suggest you do. Might get on the air. Your name may get on the air. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, Jade is asking, Dave, is the Paracon going to be videoed? So the Spaced Out Radio Paracon. We are going to try to do it. I've actually, believe it or not, I've never done a live video on YouTube. And I don't know how. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there who are screaming, and they're going to be like, how can you not do this? This is blasphemous. It's so easy. Well, you haven't seen Dave with his, 10 left-handed thumbs when it comes to trying to program something like that. Now, if Amy Martin is listening, she's probably rolling her eyes and she's like, uh-huh. But nonetheless, I have thought about that. And I just have to check the internet connection to see how we would be able to do that. And I got actually Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada coming up this weekend. And I actually may talk to him about that, about potentially going live on our YouTube channel. So that's youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, about videotaping or live taping these speakers. Now, it's all going to depend on audio, because if the audio is crap, if we can divert the audio straight into the camera, that would be kind of cool. That would be really cool. Then we would totally be able to do it, because you want good audio. You don't want to be and I've seen them on YouTube before, where you have these really big name speakers and you go and listen to it because you're all excited and they sound like they're speaking from way over here. That never sounds very good. You know what I'm saying? It never sounds very good. So we're going to try and get that done. And it is something that I would actually like to do. I think it would add something really, really cool to our lineup. That's for sure. So we're going to try that. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer, of course, while we're waiting for our guest, Ian Holt, who will be here at 12:35 Eastern, 9:35 Pacific, Central Time, 11:35, Mountain Time, 10:35. It would be fantastic. But nonetheless, yes, we are going to try and get YouTube on there. That is one of those ones that we will try and get to. Definitely. So I haven't had any weird experiences lately, which I'm kind of disappointed about. But nonetheless, it is all good. It is all good. Just the black bear. You know, you kind of get to this point. I don't know if you're like me, but when you get close to like the end of August, you start thinking, holy cow, like October's like right around the corner. Halloween. Because like, I'm trying to think, like what you don't see behind the scenes here is I try and stay 2 months ahead on the scheduling. So right now, like, sure, we're at August 28th right now, but I already know that September is booked, and now I'm working on October, which we only have about 8 days left to book in the month of October. That's going pretty quick. And for those of you who've listened a long time, we just booked the crypto historian, Robert Morphy. Not to be confused with the crypto guru, Ronald Murphy. But we just booked Robert Morphy for tonight, or for Monday, October 8th. So it's going to be a really cool month in regards to getting everything going, because you're always looking 2 months ahead. That's what we try and do. Now, I mean, if something happens and we got to cancel a guest, obviously, you know, say another situation like 9/11 popped up, we would 100% definitely have to cancel our guests, because we're definitely not going to be talking about the epiphany of garden gnomes if a horrific world event starts or is happening. You got to talk about that. But nonetheless, you do have to, you know, think ahead. And all of a sudden you start thinking, okay, October. What the hell do I do with October? Do you stack it with a bunch of ghost people? You know, because it's Halloween and you want to get, oh, everything's spooky. No, you don't want to do that. You got to mix it up. You got to be able to mix it up. Oh, by the way, on Twitter, Goddess Michelle at #SpacedOutRadio. You will be happy to know that on Thursday, October 4th, I did this just for you, because this is how I am with my listeners. If you want a topic, I'm going to try and get that topic. It may take some time, but I'm going to try and get that topic. So, Goddess Michelle, just for you, on Thursday, October 4th, I have Varla Ventura. She's an author who's researched mermaids. That's what I do. Always trying to please. I'm like Paranormal Jesus sometimes. Always give. That's just the way it is. Please see the humor in what I just said. Kevin and Kevin's Beard, 2 separate entities, same person. When are you coming to the southern states, Dave? I've only ever been to Texas once. You're like the second invite I've got to go down there recently. Jamie Sexton from the Rebel Planet is like, dude, you got to get down here. Let's go hog hunting. Apparently there's a big problem with feral hogs down there. I'm not a hunter, but I think it would be fun. Totally something that would be fun. Kevin's got a good beard, too. Very good beard. And you know how I am about good facial hair. So nonetheless, I would like to get to Texas. There's a lot of places I would love to go. But unfortunately, that all takes time. And right now, vacation is the furthest thing from my mind, even though I would love to go somewhere. I apologize, Mama Susan, for mentioning the hunting hogs. Adder is asking, why are dogs' noses wet? Well, let's find out. Why are dogs' noses wet? Believe it or not, that comes up in Google. Moist noses are also one of the ways that canines can regulate body temperature and cool down. Dogs don't have normal sweat glands like people, so they secrete sweat from the pads of their feet and their noses. So when you go touch your dog's wet nose, you're actually touching their sweat. How is that? Tanya on Twitter. Tanya from Australia. How's tomorrow looking? She's like, no guest tonight? Actually, we're about 4 minutes away. Ian Holt from... Ian Holt. He doesn't really have a website. Author, movie producer, former MTV rap star. He's going to be with us in just a couple of minutes. He's wrapping up a phone call here, hopefully in the next couple of minutes. He's on the phone with Hollywood. You know, it's one of them Hollywood people that is eating them up. Eating them up. Eating up our time here. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry. He's like so apologetic. But apparently this guy just won't get off the phone. And Ian's like, I got an interview, man. Got to go on Spaced Out Radio. The guy's like, do you want your movie deal or not? Yeah, Ian definitely needs that. He definitely needs that phone call. So we're going to give him a free pass here. We're going to give him an absolute free pass. Why not? Why not? So nonetheless, let's see what else is exciting in the chat rooms. Let's see what's exciting in the chat room right now. Well, let's see. Bill Cardwell, who sets the password each and every night, he saw a moose today. How Canadian is that? Says it was a cow moose, so female moose, just hanging out in the swamp doing moose stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. See what's happening on. Oh, Tanya in Australia has updated us. She says, just so we know, the end of the world is not happening tomorrow. I don't know if it was scheduled or not. God, I'm sick of that. But she says tomorrow's looking good because she's like 15, 16 hours ahead. Or maybe longer. Because it's like 5:30 her time there. So what would that be? 17 hours? 17, 18 hours? From where we are here on the West Coast? Tanya, what time is it? What time is it in Australia right now? This is what I love about this show. Honestly, we're talking about Texas. We're talking to people in Australia, figuring out what's happening there. We got Bart L from LGAB sending us beautiful pictures of naked Nanaimo bars on Twitter. Now, for you Americans, if you've never had a Nanaimo bar, you are missing out. Nanaimo, Nanaimo. Google that. Seriously. You will thank me for that. Nanaimo bars. You will thank me for it. Get the recipe. It's not some big Canadian conspiracy secret. We share. You go on there. You make yourself some Nanaimo bars. I don't care. Do it this weekend. We got a long weekend coming up. You want to impress your friends, your family? Seriously, just absolutely make those Nanaimo bars. You have to. You have to try them. It's 2:30 in Australia, so Tanya says there's no apocalypse yet. Oh, yeah, Anthony in Connecticut. Anthony in Connecticut is like, hey, if you go see Anthony in Connecticut, he's a tattoo artist. Just find him. Look for Anthony in Connecticut. All right. And if you want an alien tattoo, like a Carl with an SOR on there, he'll give you a discount. He'll give you the Spaced Out Radio discount. So make sure you check that out. Anthony in Connecticut. I gotta figure out. I apologize, Anthony. I'm totally blowing it here on your studio name. I'm totally blowing it right now. I do apologize. We're just waiting for Ian Holt. I'm going to message him again here. Can I call you yet? Audience getting... Let's put it on you guys. We'll say you're getting antsy. Audience getting antsy. We're going to figure this out. And if Ian cannot make it right now, we'll figure something out. Maybe we'll open up the phone lines or whatever. We'll figure it out. That makes for an interesting question, talking about Anthony and his tattoos there. All right. How many of you out there actually have a full sleeve? Do you ever go on YouTube and actually check out some really bad tattoos? Sometimes this is what I do. If I'm having a bad day, let's just say that I am having a bad day and I need some cheering up. I usually go on YouTube and I watch those epic fail movies. Or movies of people who have really bad tattoos. They try and put something real prophetic on their body, some standout statement, and it's spelled wrong. Could you imagine getting a tattoo and you've spelled it wrong? That would be horrible. Honestly. That almost ranks up there with people falling. I don't know why, but I think people falling is funny. Don't ask me why. I just do. So nonetheless, we're just waiting to hear back from Ian here. He's going to get back to us here momentarily. Fun fact of the day. We'll have a fun fact today since we're waiting. Just in case you didn't know, the pool on the Titanic has always had water in it. It is still full. Yeah. It is still full. Go figure. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. UFO stories. Butch Wachowski last night was saying that he literally sees an increase in the amount of UFO stories that are actually happening right now in North America, especially on the East Coast. He says people are starting to see a lot of black triangles again. Now, one of the things that I'm not a UFO expert. All right. I definitely am not. Far from it. Completely far from it. But nonetheless, you have to wonder when multiple people start seeing the same type of craft. It wasn't that long ago where people were seeing, these cigar-shaped UFOs and these really like almost boxy type or boomerang types, but the triangles seem to be back. And it makes you wonder, at least it does for me, I don't know about you, but at least it makes me wonder literally about what is going on with this black triangle phenomena. Why does it disappear? Because for the last couple of years, nobody's really been talking about the black triangles. Nobody at all. So all of a sudden, when you see an increase in something like this, I mean, if they aren't man-made, all right? If they aren't man-made in some part of some secret space program type atmosphere or program, then it makes you wonder, is there like a rotation of these alien species that come on in every now and again? Like, okay, we've got these black triangles now, so okay, this group you can now take on Earth. Next group, okay, you cigar-shaped UFOs, and you little gray guys who are on there, you guys get the next couple of years. Boomerangs, you're following that. But we want to appear now. No, you gotta wait. You gotta wait. Just the way it is. Like, have you not wondered about these patterns? Like, for those of you who have seen the black triangles, and there is some assumption that in the secret space program they are called the TR3Bs. Thank you, BTO. Even though you're a Mets fan. You have to wonder whether or not they are human or not. Or humanoid. I wonder. It makes me wonder big time. And if people are starting to see them as much as they are, it kind of makes you wonder whether or not there is something more to this. Something more to it. I don't know if they're alien or not. Maybe we've got a copyright on there. Who knows? Who absolutely knows? But we're going to find out. We're going to find out. All right. What we're going to do here while we're waiting for Ian, because he says, just a sec, man, just a sec. If you want to call in, 1-702-302-4556. We'll put that one in the chat rooms. 1-702-302-4556. Tell me why you like to be scared. That's what I want to know. Why do we all have this inclination to be scared? Or tell me a UFO story, a ghost story. I don't really care right now. Really don't care. Call on in. 1-702-302-4556 if you want to call on in while we are waiting for our guest Ian Holt to come on tonight. He will be here shortly. That's why I can't wait to go public. That way I get a producer. All right, Jade is asking. Oh, I can't ask that. She's like, did you see my blue birds, Dave? I know you can't say that on the radio, but they are so cute. And they bounce. Really? She's talking about the blue booby birds, just so you know. I don't even know why. I can't believe you just read that. Can't believe you just read that. How do you put that up? Like how do you name, like, who is the scientist who nicknamed whatever the scientific name is of those birds? Who thought that, oh, let's call them blue boobies? Seriously, who does that? If you hear me typing, it's because I am typing in the phone number to a bunch of our chat rooms right now. 1-702-302-4556. Mr. A-Hole Skeptic on Twitter. He's like, SOR Paranormal exclusive, actual time dilation taking place now. Listen as Dave talks slower and slower. Hey, sometimes this happens. When you're a one-man show, anything can happen. Anything can happen. As we wait for Ian Holt. Come on. I hope his phone didn't die. And I know Everett is out there prepping the news somewhere. Now, Everett is absolutely paranoid, freakishly paranoid, and freaked out by spiders. And he literally got trapped in his house because there was a spider on the door frame. I got to find out about this. He said it was the size of a $50. So, I got to find out about this spider. He's as scared of spiders as I am about gnomes. That's for sure. He is totally scared about that. I think we should crank call Ian right now. Let's hit him up. Mike's like, tell us stories, Uncle Dave. Please tell about your Paracon. I already did tell about the Paracon. Already did. All right. We're going to call Ian. See what he has to say. Let's hit him up cold here. Maybe he's waiting for us. See what he says. Went straight to voicemail. He must still be on that call. He must completely be on that call. He has been on that call for 3.5 hours. I know that. Ian never misses that show. Let's get somebody else in here. If he answers. I might just start going through my Rolodex. Just call somebody up here. Seriously. All right. Okay, I do have to ask. I'm bringing in Everett Themer here from The Encounter while we wait for Ian Holt. Give me somebody to talk to.
I don't know if I can talk to you anymore. I heard something.
What'd you hear?
That discussion about some spiders, maybe?
Well, there's no spiders here right now. What is the fear of spiders, man? Because I can relate. You know I hate gnomes. Gnomes, sharks, and snakes, man. Those are the three things that do it for me.
I don't know what it is. I don't know where it started, but I will be the first to admit that I have a childlike, terrifying fear of spiders.
Really?
Well, you saw that picture I sent you earlier. That kept me from leaving the back door of my house.
How'd you get out? Because you had to go to your studio.
I went through the front door.
So you made this big panic move that you were going to go through the window, crawl through the bathroom window, or dig a hole in a trench underneath the house, so you didn't have to go through this spider. And you ended up going through the front door. That's pretty lame. I'm not gonna lie.
But going out the front door, I have all those trees and brush pieces laying out. It's kind of like a little minefield and little course there I have to weave through. It'd actually be easier to go out the window.
Well, you should have. You absolutely should have.
Well, tomorrow he's getting hit with the pressure washer.
All right, you got some Agent Orange to throw on there as well?
I have some chemistry to work with.
All right. Hey, we got a phone call coming in here. Hold on. Let's see who's calling in. I know it's a BC number. We'll wait for it to connect, if it connects. There it is. 778. Who are we speaking with?
Bill Hauser. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, little Billy Hauser. What's going on?
Hey, Bill.
How's it going, Dave? I'm doing very well, thank you. And yourself?
Good. You will actually be up at the Paracon here, September 28th through 30th.
Yes, I will. I'm looking forward to it, so it's going to be awesome.
And I think we have you doing a Ghost Box session as well for one of the workshops.
Yeah, definitely. You had mentioned that you'd like me to do that, so I said, sure, that'd be awesome.
Sweet. You recently, I got to ask this because we got you on the air here in just a couple of weeks. But I want to ask you, you went to the Philippines because your wife is, I believe, originally from the Philippines. And you went and did some ghost hunting around there.
Yeah, basically I did sessions. I did my YouTube sessions, and then I was on a national TV show there, I Wonder. And that was really interesting. That was a great experience, and gave you guys a good plug at Spaced Out Radio for it.
Oh, you're way too kind. Way too kind. Well, and what kind of questions was this television show asking you about the paranormal? And how did you get hooked up with them?
It was more generalized type of questions for the interview part, and then just basically they wanted to know a little bit about me, and then they kind of featured some of the things I've done, and then basically right after that interview, we went right on to location there and did the filming at the location that they wanted me to go to.
Well, that's kind of cool. And what kind of responses were you getting there?
Well, generally, it wasn't too bad at that location. It was basically a location that had notorious car accidents happen there. So they wanted me basically to try to make contact with somebody from there. So I managed to get a name coming through, Isabel, and it came through on both radios that I was using. We did 3 different takes on that. The second one, we hardly got anything, so we moved to another location nearby, and then I used the 2 different radios, and then I got stuff. So it was the first one. We got, they were speaking a little bit of Tagalog, that's their national language in the Philippines. And I was asking about portals, and they said many.
Oh, wow. Wow. Now,
yeah,
I have
so
to
that
ask,
was really cool.
I do have to ask, is there a difference in the way spirit acts in different countries? So, for instance, or a different continent? Because, I mean, let's face it, I know the Philippines, there's a lot of English spoken there. But they also have their own native language, too.
Yes. Well, basically, they have a lot of subdialects, so native language. So I was getting that down in just outside of Cagayan de Oro. And basically, it was the Visayan language. So it was like a local native language. And I was getting that through the Ghost Box a lot. And I was getting it at different locations. So the cabbie driver that we had, he acted as our interpreter. And that was at the cemetery that he did that, as well as at Gaston Park. And it was very interesting communication, especially at the cemetery. So I would say that they weren't too happy there. From what his name was Reggie, he basically passed on the message that they were not happy there. They're not happy one bit at all.
Mm-hmm. You do have to wonder whether or not, when you go into these situations, were they upset that, you weren't a native of the country and here you were maybe disturbing them?
No, they were more curious about who I was. So they were kind of wondering, who's this guy? They knew I was a foreigner. So basically that's how the spirits acted towards me generally. In Manila, I got a lot of English. So that would probably be also a lot of speaking Filipinos that have passed away that could speak English, that I got that as well.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Gentlemen, you hold on, because we're actually going to go to our first break of the night. Ian Holt is supposed to be our guest tonight. I'm going to try and get a hold of him during the break here to see if he is still on the phone with Hollywood or not, and if he has time for us. If not, we will continue on with the show tonight. We'll keep the phone lines open. If you want to call on in, please do at 1-702-302-4556. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm going to take you for a ride every Sunday night on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to set up your week with some strange tales from across North America, from psychic readings, Sasquatch, UFOs, to the most haunted locations. Come join me at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, and let's get weird together. I'd love for you to join me. Spaced Out Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
There's news, and there's The Encounter. This is Spaced Out Radio News Director Everett Beamer inviting you to check out The Encounter. Our half-hour news segment every Monday through Friday night is different compared to what you're used to. Our goal is to bring you the weird, strange, and interesting stories the mainstream tends to leave out, and stories that will make you scratch your head in disbelief. The Encounter can also be found at spacedoutradio.com and on our Facebook page, SOR The Encounter. Come give us a read.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month. where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back for the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Johnny Enoch will be back. We will get into the discussion of the alien presence on Earth and how they got here. We'll get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. And don't forget, you can check out our archives. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Oligophrenia. is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. Don't forget, you can also go to questers.ca. That's questers.ca. Click on the Fall Conference. Get your tickets right now for the first annual Caribou Paracon, presented by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers, September 28th through 30th. We want to see you up here in beautiful British Columbia at the Spruce Hill Resort and Spa. We are still efforting to get a hold of our guest tonight, Ian Holt. Now, the reason why he's late is because he's on a phone call with some Hollywood executive that just keeps talking and talking and talking. He's like, I'll get there when I can, man. He is so apologetic to all of you. I've been in communication with him during the break, but we are working on it. He is going to try and get to us here very quickly. So Bill Hauser is here with us. Bill will be a guest in a couple of weeks. You know him from the Ghost Box, and we got Everett Themer from the Encounter Online jumping on in as well. We're going to open up the phone lines to you. So if you want to call in, talk about pretty much anything you want. 1-702-302-4556. That number, once again, 1-702-302-4556 is the call-in number. We'd love to hear from you tonight. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Hey, it's always fun to be here.
Yeah, Dave, it's excellent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, sometimes the most spontaneous shows end up being the most fun. So that's what we are doing here. So a couple questions from our audience here. Jade is asking a couple of them. She's like, what is Grant Cameron presenting at the Caribou Paracon? He will be just talking about the entire disclosure process. He's got a 2-hour limit to talk about everything to do with disclosure on what is happening and how it affects each and every one of us. So he's going to talk about the players there. And she's also asking if Miriam Delicado could maybe come here next year. Yes. September 30th will be actually the 30th anniversary of Miriam Delicado's alien abduction, which happened in my town. I didn't know it happened in my town until I moved here. And she's like, hey, that's where I got abducted. And I'm like, oh, cool. Very cool.
And, you know, that's one of those stories that has gone so under the radar that people don't really pay attention to.
I know. Everybody talks about, you know, Betty and Barney Hill and Travis Walton. Miriam Delicado's situation was phenomenal. So for people who don't know, Everett, thank you for bringing that up. So on September 30th, 1988, Miriam and 3 of her friends were driving from northern British Columbia down to Vancouver. And when they hit the Quesnel area, now you heard me here mention Quesnel earlier with Mandy the Haunted Doll. When we hit the Quesnel area, or she did, with her friends, they started being followed by an orb of light. And when a vehicle would, you know, they see the headlights of a vehicle coming up, this orb would like turn off and disappear. And the minute that vehicle would go by, this orb of light would come right back behind their vehicle. Now, her and her friends kept seeing this. So they drove through Quesnel. They drove through another town, the next big town called Williams Lake. And when they went into town, the orb would disappear. So they'd be like, okay, it's gone. It's gone. Let's just move on here. So when they got to 100 Mile House, where I am, the orb disappeared. So they're like, okay, well, we're not that far from Vancouver. We're only a couple of hours. We can make it, you know, and if the light shows up again, we'll stop in the next town and we'll just wait there. Well, when they got onto what we call the 99-mile hill, the UFO pulled the car over. And Miriam states that her 2 friends were sleeping in the back because it's nighttime. And her friend who was driving kind of went into this zombie state, and the car pulled over and the car shut down. And Miriam said to her friend, don't worry, they don't want you. They're here for me. So she got out of the car, and the old highway then was only 2 lanes. It's 4 lanes now, or maybe even 3 lanes in that area. As weird as that sounds. But they pulled the car over. She got out of the car, and she was met on the highway by 3 Greys who took her up on a ship and then basically took her for 3 hours. And when she got back in the vehicle, her friends were all distraught and panicking because, September can be kind of cold. And they were all cold, and they were wondering why the car was off and why they were pulled over, because nobody remembered pulling the car over. And it was quite the discussion, apparently, for the next few hours down to Vancouver. Miriam was, I think, 22 at the time, and it just absolutely freaked her out and changed her entire perspective on life. And so that is kind of what happened. So I would like to get her to speak here next year. Definitely. I love Miriam. So I will definitely try to do that for next year. I mean, could you imagine?
That would be fun. That would be really, really interesting.
Totally, right? Totally. I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when Bill was in the Philippines, he went to a region, I believe it was called CDO. And Bill, I know that you don't necessarily specialize in the whole UFO phenomena, but didn't you investigate a couple situations or talk to a few people that had experienced some UFO activity down there?
Yes, I did, actually. I can't mention his name. He wants to remain confidential. Anyway, he's a fan of mine, believe it or not. So anyway, he says, when you're ever in the Philippines, Bill, you must come and visit me down in CDO. So I said, well, okay, well, that's fair enough. So when I decided to go to the Philippines, I visit down there. And, he told me a story, and he was walking home nighttime, I guess around 10 at night, somewhere around there, and he saw this unusual kind of an orangey type light up in the sky. And so he took just a short video, and I did watch the video, and it was, very, very unusual to say the least. So anyway, he told me about it, and then basically he was getting a lot of problems with flack from his friends and that, and he ended up having to block a few of them. They were being pretty sarcastic to him and everything, and if he ever talked about it on Facebook, his postings would get taken down. That was really odd, so he told me that. So anyway, he's kind of kept it quiet now. He's kind of just sort of wants it to ride over and not talk about it anymore, but he did talk to me about it, so that's the gist of his story, basically.
Now, and I know you probably don't know the entire answer to this, but how do you think, or what was your experience in terms of how UFOs are reported over there versus how they're reported and looked at here in North America? Is it any different? Is it... I know you said that I don't think
they have an actual UFO reporting site in the Philippines, just basically parapsychology groups in Manila. Basically, I know some stuff has been reported in North America from the Philippines if there are sightings from other people. So that is one way they've been able to, at least tell people about their sightings.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. How come they don't have a UFO site there?
Basically, I'm not too sure, Dave. That I'm not too sure. I'd have to find out a little bit. But what I've gathered is they have parapsychology groups in Manila there, and I guess UFOs aren't really looked upon at the same level as more ghostly folklore type stuff. They have a lot of folklore and superstition in the Philippines, so definitely that is on the agenda for these guys to look into that and see what the fear-based aspects are with different people reporting unusual sightings.
All right.
You said that his Facebook post would be deleted or removed. Do you think
Yeah. Basically, when he talked about his story or, made any mention about the UFO sighting.
Wow. We got a caller here from area code 512, so we're going to bring in this caller right now. Who are we speaking with?
Hey, Dave, this is Dale down in Austin. Keeping it weird.
Hey, Dale, what's going on? How's that mustache? How's that power stash doing?
That mustache is representing.
Nice.
Definitely representing.
Nice. You know what? We're so glad to have you on, man. Thank you for calling in.
Well, this is a great show. So anyway, I haven't done this in a while, and this was super rush job, but I've got a top 10 list for you,
All
a.k.a. the old nighttime talk shows.
Okay, I want to hear
And
this.
This is top 10 things to do when your guest is late.
All right.
So number 10 is pick boogers. So you can see where we're headed already.
All right.
Number 9 is try to get Suri to go out with you.
She's
You know, the AI
she's pretty. That's pretty tough. I mean, she's not very friendly.
Yeah. Well, she keeps rebuffing me. I mean, that's what I hear. You could try beatboxing.
Oh no. I am.
I will pay money to hear Dave do that.
I'm going to tell you, I am way too Northern Canadian right now to beatbox.
There's a gnome behind you, Dave.
Oh God. You know what? I actually looked.
Well, you can see it on the camera. It's just
hold on. I got a quick question for you. Can I exchange the beatbox for some serious air guitar?
No. Oh, for sure.
Ooh.
For sure, especially if you do it live on YouTube.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Then I withdraw my offer of money.
No, you cannot. All right, continue on.
Well, in that same vein, you could play Black Sabbath backwards at 78 through a spirit box.
Oh, maybe it'll tell us that Paul McCartney is dead.
Yeah, I am the walrus. You could crank call your late guest's ex and interview her instead.
If I knew any of Ian's exes, I might do that.
That's one to
Speaking of
keep in
Texas,
the file.
There you go. Speaking of Texas and Austin, where I live, you could do your best Alex Jones impression.
What? What are you talking about? The greed, the corruption. Fake news.
There you go.
That actually hurts the voice.
Yeah, I don't. The man must be quite a voice athlete, whatever that's called.
Oh, I know.
You know, that could be a password someday. Okay, number 2.
All right.
Interview Bart L.
Oh, yes. Actually, you know what? I actually have some kind of funny news about that. I got a phone call yesterday from @Bart L Producer. So we're talking about LGAB here. We're talking about LGAB. And so I got to explain this for people who don't know, because they'll be like, what the hell is LGAB? LGAB is a more metamorphosis of an online forum called BellGab that was set up during when Art Bell, rest his soul, was on the air. And so they would talk about all sorts of Art Bell type stuff. And they did this for like a decade. All right. And then BellGab shut down, and this gentleman kind of hopped out of the woods named Bart L. And he literally started this LGAB. Well, they do this Gabcast, and they've actually asked me to come on as a guest here in not this Saturday coming up, but the next Saturday, September 8th at like 2 p.m. So you go to LGAB, that's ELLGAB.com, click on their chat room, and I'll be the guest there on Saturday, the 8th.
Awesome. Okay. And the number one thing to do if your guest is late, call Bill.
Always. Which Bill?
This Bill.
Okay. Oh, Bill Hauser. Yeah, we can always call Bill Hauser.
I'm not good with last names. I don't have one, so I tend to forget.
Exactly. You know what, Dale? I appreciate you calling in, man. And, you know, if you could do me one favor, get a hold of Bill Hauser, because I think he would look good in your type of mustache, because you got one of them really nice mustaches.
All right. Well, I definitely will.
Absolutely.
Have a great night, guys.
Thank you so much for calling in, Dale. Dale is part of the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, so if you want to join that and get into the chat there, you are more than welcome. I like Dale. He's a smart dude, man. He is a smart
Dale is
dude.
very smart.
Yeah. So, I mean, literally, could you see me? I mean, really, beatbox, really, Dale, really? Oh, wow.
The offer stands, but not for air guitar.
Why can't I do air guitar? I mean, that's what I want to know.
Because I think watching you beatbox would be much more entertaining.
No.
Maybe not for you.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Bill, are you going to grow a mustache before the Paracon?
No, I'm not really one for beards and mustaches. I have had a mustache in the past, so
come on,
it has happened.
Come on, for the Spaced Out Radio fans, can you grow a good mustache for us?
Why don't I just have a nice scruffy looking face and not shave for a week before?
Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I could do that.
All right. Let's see where we are going here.
I hear Everett. Is that true? Everett's he's petrified of spiders?
Apparently so.
I don't know where that rumor got started at.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Well, Everett, you know what happened to me in the Philippines. I actually got bit by a spider.
I do know that, and that's horrible. I do have a fear of spiders, just so you know. And yeah,
well,
I
I
know
don't
you
exactly like them either. Yeah. Well, yeah, it happened to me. Basically, it wasn't poisonous, so that was the good thing about it. But of course, you didn't know it at the time. And then I was allowed down a real steep stairwell into a little tunnel along the side of the walls at Fort San Diego in Metro Manila in Intramuros area. And there was little chambers in there, and I was going through there, and I just had a little light, and I was allowed to ghost box in there, but not to record. So anyway, spider webs, everything. I ended up getting bit on the elbow by one, but I thought something touched me at the time until I got out and realized, I could see it swelling and that. So anyway, I went down another set of stairs.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. I was just going to wait for him to finish that.
He went down another set of stairs, and then he got cut off.
It's the government.
Definite. I mean, it's still showing that he's connected. Did Bill accidentally put us on hold?
I don't know, but one story that he should tell about the Philippines is the Manila Film Center. He told me about that, and it is really kind of a creepy story. So get him back.
I'm trying. We're going to call Bill back. Give me 1 second here. Got to end the call. This is what the problem is when you got to do everything yourself. You know? Like radio shows shouldn't be about being a bachelor. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
I understand that.
Maybe his phone died. I don't know.
I bet he gets back.
I think so. I hope so.
He was going down those stairs, and then all of a sudden.
That is kind of weird. Like, I'm trying to get a hold of him here, and his call is not picking up. I wonder if he lost his phone. I hope he didn't accidentally drop it or anything.
While we're waiting for him, did you hear anything about the fireball over the Midwest?
No.
Yeah, it was last night, and I missed it, but it would have been about 9 o'clock or so Midwest Central Time. And I'm just wondering if anybody out there saw it, because apparently it was visible from Oklahoma to Kansas, all the way to Illinois and Indiana, and as far south, I think, as Arkansas. And they're basically saying that it was a low velocity meteor. But I'm curious to see if anybody saw it or experienced like a weird flash around 9 o'clock, between 8:30 and 9 o'clock last night.
That would be interesting. Those are pretty cool when they happen, because they're not like your. I always wonder where they land. Honestly, I wonder where they land.
I think we experienced one time, probably about 10 years ago, where something came in and there was this huge bright light and the sonic boom. I actually thought one of the liquid propane tanks that we had exploded. It was that loud and shook the house. And
yeah, go ahead.
And I know that these are sort of a different speed and velocity than your typical falling star or kind of thing, but I would love to see if anybody experienced that.
That would be kind of cool. I'm bringing in, I'm prank calling here. Not really prank calling, but I'm just kind of bringing in Corinne de Winter here, the fabulous poet. The fabulous poet, my second favorite poet to Leonard Cohen. Because Leonard will always be my favorite. How are you, my dear?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. I got to ask you a question.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I had a reading. You want to read me?
Okay. I was just looking for someone to read, actually, Dave.
Yeah. I need you to get a little. I need you to get a little closer to your microphone, because you're sounding like really muffled.
Yeah, I know. This microphone stinks. Is that any better?
A little bit.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm going to get a psychic reading on the air here from somebody who I absolutely love and adore and respect in this industry, Corinne de Winter.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so let's just talk for a couple of minutes so I can get it tuned into you.
All right.
What's going on? Who's on the air? Who's telling the story?
Well, we got Everett on the air. Everett Thiemer's with us, because our original guest, Ian Holt, who was supposed to be on with us, he actually, he's in the process of doing some business, trying to get his movie up and running. That'll be starring Mickey Rourke. And so he's had this Hollywood producer or this Hollywood executive that is literally tying him up all night. And he's like, dude, I'm telling this guy, I got to go. And this guy's like, no, we got to sit here and talk. We got to talk this out. So, business comes first over pleasure, which is the Spaced Out Radio interview. So that's why we're just kind of running with the flow tonight. We're running with the bulls in Pamplona. That's what we are doing.
I hear you. Yep. Well, Mickey Rourke. Yeah. What the hell's Mickey Rourke been doing lately? I don't even know.
He did The Wrestler.
Yeah, he got an Oscar for that, didn't he?
At least a nomination.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
Yeah. Well, Mickey and Ian are pretty good friends, so that's why they are doing this movie together.
Right. So I'm going to ask you, Dave, do you know anyone named Anne or Annie?
Like close to me? I think everybody knows an Anne or an Annie.
Well, close to you.
No.
Okay.
But I was chatting with somebody on Facebook today, or on LGAB, about an hour before the show. Her name was Annie.
Okay. What were you chatting about?
The show.
Okay.
Because she was new to it, and she wanted to know a little bit about it.
Okay. there's something, and I know this is going to sound very weird and probably out of sorts to you, but something about Missouri that has to do with you or is going to have to do with you. I know that it sounds out of whack, I know, because I'm like, what the hell is in Missouri? But does this have any meaning to you right now?
Well, I got a friend in radio in Missouri, and believe it or not, that's where George Norrie comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be a coast-to-coast tie.
Right. Okay. Also, I'm no medic or doctor, of course, and I don't claim to give proper medical advice, but but there's something you're deficient in that is causing you to be more anxious than usual. And I don't know if you are more anxious than usual. I'm not even sure about that. But I mean, I'm saying it causes anxiety in you, and something is in your diet that you're lacking. And I'm not sure what that is. B vitamins, assorted B vitamins. Do you take any B vitamins at all?
No, but I do eat bananas.
That's very good. That's very good.
I like a good banana.
Yeah, good. B vitamin is very good for anxiety. I know that. And depression. And I know that bananas are, have at least one type of vitamin B in it. Okay, what's the other thing I get? That you are planning something with your wife about I'm not sure if it's a weekend or longer than a weekend. I think it's just a weekend, 2-3 days, say, to go somewhere. Maybe someone has asked you to invited you to their house or something. I see like water by the house. I don't know if it's a lake or something like that. And I'm not sure if that's happening right now. But if it's not happening right now, I certainly see it coming up somewhere. It's someone you know that invites you somewhere. Let me see what else. Glenn. Is there a Glenn?
Yeah, Glenn Ferguson.
Who's that?
He is a paranormal guy who I know locally here in BC.
Okay. Do you see him?
No, I haven't talked to him in a while.
Okay. That's something interesting. I'm not sure what he's going to do, but there's something that you're going to have some connection with him somehow.
All right.
What else? Okay. Let me see. Okay, so I'm trying to look past, like, in your past, like, back in your family tree here. And, let me see. Family tree. There's a William.
Yes.
Okay. And, William was like a go-getter, man. And also, okay, William, I got William. Was there a Nancy?
No.
No, okay. There's a woman with him. Who's the woman? Well, okay, so William, do you know his wife?
Yeah, it's my grandmother.
Okay, it's your grandmother. Okay. Is she still alive?
Yes. She is 90.
Wow.
90 and a half.
Oh. Pretty good, man, if we can get to 90, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
especially if we can get to 97, which I heard of recently.
My goodness.
Okay, so anyways, maybe tell her that William. Let me see what William has to say. So William's talking about he's saying crapshoot, like okay, so I don't know if he gambled or if he did something with betting on things or something like that, but he's saying that the whole of life is like a crapshoot, that you can't depend on anything exactly. It's the luck of the draw, and I know that sounds hokey, but that's what I'm hearing. You know?
My grandfather was addicted to lottery tickets.
Okay.
I'll say you got that one.
It's the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. And Mom, how's Mom doing?
Not bad. She is battling pneumonia right now that she got because her immune system, after you get that chemotherapy crap, you know, such an evil, evil thing. I'm so not. I wish they would, you know, with all the money that they donate into cancer research, how can we not come up with something better than putting Agent Orange in our systems? You know, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's awful.
So it it beat up her immune system pretty bad, and it's been like that for a number of years. But now she's got the pneumonia that she's getting over here.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, that's good that she's getting over it. That's a bad thing to get, man. I mean, at any age, but especially when you get older, you know. But someone is helping her, right? Watching her and.
Yeah, she has a lot of people helping her down there for sure.
Okay, good. Okay. So, is there gotta get, you know, shoot. Maybe it's Roberta or something like that. Roberta or Rose. Does that make sense to you?
No.
Okay. Well, as we keep talking, maybe I'll get more stuff. But that's all.
I appreciate that.
Something though? Are you planning something with your wife?
Well, we got October 1st is when you talk about the stress that's going on right now, that makes a lot of sense because we literally have 1 month before we launch on our new relaunch of Spaced Out Radio on October 1st. So that makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of pressure right now going on. And it does have the anxiety up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, tell me about the relaunch.
Well, there are certain things I can't get into, but what we're doing right now is we are prepping for terrestrial radio. As you know, we've had the new studio built, and our investor has put in and created us a beautiful, beautiful studio. And very top of the line, great technology in here. I mean, there are so many buttons I want to press, but Amy Martin, who is helping me out behind the scenes, she's like, "Don't press that." I'm like, "Okay, not allowed to press that."
Right.
You know what it's like to have a bunch of buttons that you want to press and you just can't because you're a tech guy. Exactly.
And I also know you should not be allowed near the buttons.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, like I have this big board. It's called a PreSonus. Okay, it's got like 16 channels on it, and there's probably 200 buttons on this PreSonus mixing board, and I'm allowed to touch one button. One.
That's too many.
Okay, No, you're sitting there because the whole thing is like lit up like a Christmas tree, right? Literally. I mean, there's green, there's orange, there's red, there's blue. And I can touch one button. One. It's terrible. Oh, and I'm allowed to turn two knobs. One button and two knobs. One turns up my speakers, and the other one turns up my headphones. So during the show, I keep the speakers down and the headphones up. Honestly.
You touching that many knobs on that board makes me a little nervous.
Yeah. Let's see, Neptune here. Tell me about the relaunch so that I can make things up about that too. Oh, what am I making up, Mr. Neptune? Fill me in. Fill me in. What am I making up?
Yeah, I'd be curious.
Yeah, I'd be very curious about that. Dale's like, push the buttons. Push the buttons, Dave. Push them. You know you want to. It'll feel so good to push the buttons.
Right. So, can I tell you guys about this book I'm reading? And it came out some years back, and I'm just getting around to it now, apparently. But, so, in this book, it says that this guy had a near-death experience, and when he was in the afterlife, or wherever that is, he said he saw people living in houses. Some houses were huge, like mansions, and other houses were the size of bathrooms. And he asked the guide he was with why that was. And the guide said, because the people that did, you can only build a house as big as the amount of good deeds you did for others. And if you've done no good deeds, you get a tiny house. Now see, I totally disagree with that because I don't think there's any judgment on the other side. What do you guys think?
I don't think there's any judgment on the other side either, to be honest. I really don't. I haven't. Go ahead.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. I think that if you say that there's some form of judgment like that, then it kind of defeats or negates spirituality in general. I mean, I thought the whole idea was to be a better person for yourself and the world in general. If it starts to become where we're keeping score and, you know, we go on into the afterlife and I'm still living in a shoebox and Dave, you've got a mansion, that's not fair. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of or the whole idea to me of spirituality. Because let's face it, if this is the case, I'm living in a shoebox.
Right. And Joel Osteen's living in a huge mansion, which makes no sense at all.
Which does not seem fair.
Well, right. I mean, you know, not everybody can be on a plane with demons, you know. You know what? You know, while you two are here, I was going to get into this with Ian Holt tonight, okay? And I'm curious. Everett, you and I kind of slowly brought this up the other night. But I don't know why, but this story is picking my butt. All right? Now, if I was a teenager, I would be all over this. Because, you know, I think when you're a teenager and a teenage guy, and I hate to say this, when you're a teenage guy, you're like 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, you pray that you have that romantic liaison with an older woman who can show you the ropes. Okay? And then we have actress Asia Argento.
Right.
Okay, who comes out and does an incredible job at helping, you know, bring this ugliness of Hollywood to the forefront with the Me Too movement. Well, it's just coming out recently, like within the last week, that she paid $380,000 to former child actor Jimmy Bennett, whom she had a sexual liaison with when he was 17 years old.
Right.
She was, she's 42 now. He's 22, so she was 37 at the time.
Yeah.
So, you know what? She went public because of her allegation that Harvey Weinstein allegedly raped her, which, of course, I think should go public. Absolutely should go public. And no woman who wants a career in anything should have to be forced to do anything to her body in order to get to the top, no matter what it is. All right? But here she is talking about all of these horrible allegations, and in the meantime, she's doing the same thing to this 17-year-old kid. Now, there's a bunch of dudes out there, all right, who would love to high-five this young lad, who's now 22, for, getting the tutor, so to speak. If you remember that 80s movie, My Tutor. Right?
Crispin Glover.
Yeah. I remember that. That was a good movie. Anyways, is there a real difference here in what Harvey Weinstein did to her? Because he denies it. Of course, he's denying all the stuff against him, which is what they're supposed to do when they're when they're allegedly guilty. But in the meantime, here she is doing the same thing and paying off this kid $380,000.
So she claims, this is what I just read, Dave. She claims that he knew her boyfriend, Anthony Bourdain, who just killed himself a little while ago. He knew, this Jimmy Bennett knew that Anthony Bourdain was wealthy. She claims that he kept harassing them about what she did with him, and that Anthony Bourdain said, look, I'm going to pay you $380,000. Leave us alone. So that's her story. Now, here's the thing. Look at Harvey Weinstein and look at Asia Argento. A 17-year-old kid, 37-year-old woman who's hot. Okay, so that's the difference there. You've got an old ogre of a man who's probably gross. I don't know. I can't say. I've never been with him. But, so that's the difference here. But she's going to get slammed, and she already is getting slammed. You know what I mean? By the press about this.
Mm-hmm. She should, though, because it's a double standard.
Dave, speaking as a 17-year-old boy, he's not going to turn that down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But, the age of consent where he was 18. So the point is, she, no matter whether it was consensual or not, she sexually assaulted him.
Being serious for a moment, yes, it is essentially the same thing, but I also know that, or believe that, it will not be treated in the same way.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, so we got one guy, one kid who's 22 now, as opposed to multiple women saying that Harvey Weinstein assaulted them. So that's the difference there. But I still say Asia Argento, she's not going to have a future. You know what I mean? In terms of, entertainment or anything.
I don't know. This is why I wanted to talk to Ian about it, because he has that insider Hollywood scoop.
See, I think she could still have a career because, everybody loves a comeback story. And I think in this case, if a little bit of time goes by and she downplays it and, this kid got her and almost $400,000, people will forget. And I think she could still potentially have a career, especially if it's treated differently and no charges are filed or things like that.
Maybe.
And maybe this young lad is, if he was harassing them about it, maybe that's what he wanted, was the money, and was holding the peripheral financial gun to her head. But she should have known that when she was 37 years old. At 37 years old, you should be able to, make some wise decisions.
Yeah, but at 32, originally she was 32 or so, and he was 17.
37.
If she came on to him or initiated that event, she would have no real reason in her head at that time to think that this person is going to come back and harass me for money over this event. And I'm not defending her, but I'm saying, maybe he's just as wrong as she is in a different way.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to call in here Ian Holt. He is officially off that phone call. I want to get his opinion on this because literally he was just talking to a Hollywood executive. See if we can get this going. Now, don't tell me that Skype is going to... Oh, there he is. Ian Holt. Ian Holt.
What a mess. How you guys? How's everyone?
I got Everett and Corrine on the phone. Now, Corrine DeWinter is one of the greatest poets you will ever read, so you have to read her stuff, man.
I love to read her stuff.
Absolutely. Now, you were on the phone with a big Hollywood executive here about your big movie coming up with Mickey Rourke, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was about.
It was actually about my last movie that we just finished shooting, Death Metal. So we were trying to get the cut right because he couldn't send it to me. And I had to get it back because we are accepted to 5 film festivals, and the cut isn't finished yet. So I had to see what he had.
Okay.
And then I don't know what happened. I texted and nothing happened. Now I see that there was a red light on my modem. When I went back down to the garage, the battery backup had flipped. I had to push that back in, restart that, reboot my phone, reboot the computer, and then wait for the modem to reboot. But I'm sitting here for like 20 minutes. I'm sitting there for like 20 minutes. Like, why is there nothing coming up? And then on my computer, my computer, finally I get a text from my girlfriend, and she's like, "Why aren't you on the show? Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm waiting for a call." And she says, "He's saying you were on a phone call." And I look at the phone, and it's black. There's nothing. Crazy.
Oh, man. See, this is why you need to grow one of them power mustaches, man. Honestly. You grow a nice power mustache. Hey, Ian, while we have you on here, and I want to talk some horror stuff with you here in the next hour, because we're only about 3.5 minutes here from break, and I'm glad we finally were able to touch, because, I mean, literally, dude, I was like that little character saying, "Don't you worry, never fear, Ian Holt will soon be here," right?
It's right, and, I didn't even put on the show because if you called, then we get the echoes, so I got to turn off the show, so I was waiting.
We're talking about Asia Argento, okay?
Oh, wow.
The actress who, made rape allegations against Harvey Weinstein, and then went on this big publicity tour about, sleeping with Hollywood old men, sleeping with a bunch of younger men and women in order to enhance their career, and yet she is caught dipping into it with a 17-year-old boy a number of years ago. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, there's even more to it than that. So the rumors are. So, she was dating Anthony Bourdain when he committed suicide. Well, supposedly he found out about this, and he had gone after Harvey really hard, and was on all the shows demanding him be prosecuted, demanding all this stuff because of what he'd done to Asia and all the other women. And they found out that Asia had some problems too. And they say that depression is why he hung himself. That's what they're saying. I don't know if it's true, but that's what they're saying. And now it's all come out. But if we're going to go after men for sexually harassing or sexually abusing women or other men, younger women or younger boys, whatever, she has to go down too. She has to get the same punishment. It should be no different for women or men.
I agree. And, you know, I mean, the fact that whether it was her or Bourdain that, you know, paid this kid off $380,000, that's an issue. That's an issue. Because they paid him hush money.
Was it her money? Was it her father's money? Was it her family's money?
But, you know, the situation isn't the fact that she did it or that she was an outspoken critic of Harvey Weinstein. But is this that rampant in Hollywood on both sides of the sex ledger?
It's not what it once was. I mean, it was very common practice, but it seems to be something that never goes away. It's always hanging around. And it has something to do with the fact that you start at the bottom, you've got nothing, and then you get power as you get success, and then you turn around and want to wield that power. It's sort of like if you ever saw the Kevin Spacey movie, which is ironic, Swimming with Sharks. You know, in the movie, he's a crazy film executive who, you know, like pretty much, you know, tortures this kid that works for him. But he tells him this was done to him.
Right. Everyone, we're going to have to get you all to hold on here. We got to go to our... We're all going to have some fun here on the next hour of Spaced Out Radio as we go to a break here on the show, our final break of the night. Ian Holt will join us. We're going to keep Corrine and Everett around as well. We'll be back right after this.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social media freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social media freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with the 4 Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Hi there, this is Tess Nicole Thomas, and I'm going to take you for a ride every Sunday night on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to set up your week with some strange tales from across North America, from psychic readings, Sasquatch, UFOs, to the most haunted locations. Come join me at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, and let's get weird together. I'd love for you to join me. Spaced Out Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
There's news, and there's the encounter. This is Spaced Out Radio News Director Everett Thiemer inviting you to check out The Encounter. Our half-hour news segment every Monday through Friday night is different compared to what you're used to. Our goal is to bring you the weird, strange, and interesting stories the mainstream tends to leave out, and stories that will make you scratch your head in disbelief. The Encounter can also be found at spacedoutradio.com and on our Facebook page, SOR The Encounter. Come give us a read.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Johnny Enoch returns to talk about the alien presence on Earth. How do they find us? We're going to hopefully find out tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. And don't forget, you can check out our archives at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And it is oligophrenia. Oligophrenia is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. And don't forget, 1 month today, we kick off the first annual Caribou Paracon right up here in beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia, September 28th through 30th. The event is presented by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. Go to questers.ca. That's questers.ca. Get your tickets right now. Finally, Ian Holt is here with us, our guest tonight, talking everything paranormal, suspense, horror, and Hollywood. We still have Corrine DeWinter and Everett Thiemer with us. Ian, welcome, finally. How are you, buddy?
Thank you. And I apologize to everyone for my technical difficulties. But I'm glad to be here, glad to be back. Let's jump right in.
Not a problem. And Corrine and Everett, you guys can jump in with questions at any time. So right before the break, we were talking about the whole Asia Argento story. And a question came up from Trip in the chat room, who was pretty much asking, do you think, Ian, that maybe because of this that Anthony Bourdain was killed? Or what's the rumor mill right now?
Well, the rumor mill is that he went after Harvey so hard on TV and in the press and pushed for a police investigation of what happened to Asia, his girlfriend. Then all this came to light, and he felt, I guess, betrayed, humiliated. I don't know what it was, but they say that because he found out about Asia and what she did to these young guys, he hung himself.
That's terrible. So you think he did commit suicide just for the sake of, this woman that he loves? Here he was defending her honor. In the meantime, she was exactly the same.
Right. And he had, bouts of depression. He was a heroin addict when he was younger years. He had drank at some point. He was in and out of depression and almost killed himself, I think, 2 or 3 times. So, you don't know what could set him off. I mean, this could be, think about if it was you. It could really screw you up.
Yeah, I could totally see that. It is a horrible subject, though. But I asked you right before the break, if this is just par for the course for, people laugh about it because there's an entire adult video series on the casting couch. Is that what we're dealing with here? Is that a continuation of the new updated casting couch?
Well, at one time it used to be out in the open. Everybody knew about it, and it was part of the business. Then it all went away, and I don't see it. I never see it. Obviously it still happens, but I think it's, a bunch of power mad people who, have to be weeded out. They're so powerful and rich and running studios or whatever their positions are that they think they're untouchable.
Right. It's terrible.
It has to do with everything that's going on in the world. In America, CEO salaries went up 17%, so now they're like 350% more than the average worker. And the average worker went up like 0.3%. When you have people with that disparity of income, and the privilege that they feel because of that, some people think they can do anything.
one of the topics I wanted to get to you tonight, and I'd love to get Corrine and Everett's position on this as well, is what makes a good horror movie? What makes people want to get scared and to have that frightening, suspenseful feeling that we get when everything kind of goes, into a horror movie? Ian, take it away.
Well, I think, first off, for a good horror movie, you need to be in a situation, create a situation, and characters that you can relate to. You could see yourself or know someone like them. Not too complex, like, if you're going to see a drama. This is like, you want to feel in their position what you would do. So that's why you always hear people scream, don't go down the stairs, don't go down the stairs, right? Don't go down the stairs. So that's first off. The next thing is, you got to be able to create an atmosphere, a mood that's creepy, and then have creative jump scares, but not just stuff jumping out. Like if you watch Halloween or, The Fog, John Carpenter was a master of like misdirection, and then something happens on the other side of the room that you didn't know was going to happen, and something falls from the left. And it's like called a 3-tier scare. So it's really, horror movie is not like a regular movie. It's really like a amusement park theme roller coaster. It's designed to scare you. And if you can pull that off, then you usually have a successful film. Like, perfect example is A Quiet Place. Those things would, there'd be a sound and the thing would come out of nowhere with that loud noise. And it was, exactly when she stepped on while she was giving birth. Oh my God, how is the baby going to be quiet? The tension, because you're already thinking. It's like comedy. Comedy is funniest when you anticipate it. Like if a comedian that is carrying a bunch of boxes, he can't balance them, you're waiting for them to fall. Same thing in a horror movie. The suspense and tension builds when you know that the killer's there, or they're going into a dark place where the killer was, and you start going, yeah, that was what Quiet Place was so good at doing. Creating situations that we recognize ourselves that we do, and then putting something there, like doing something that we normally do, would kill us, like taking a bath or, walking to the river, whatever they were doing, fishing. It's always something, the terror always comes from the simplest thing.
So I would like to ask Ian a question. Ian, sure. I like psychological horror and supernatural things more than I like slash and tear stuff. Have you ever seen the movie Asylum?
Maybe. I don't think so. I mean, there's a few movies that I'm thinking of, but I don't think it's the one that you mean. I mean,
okay.
I've seen some movies called Asylum. I don't think so.
Right. Well, it's a book by Patrick McGrath. It was a book first, and then they did a movie of it. But, I mean, I like that kind of psychological stuff more than I like, say, Halloween or something like that. You know what I mean? But do you find more, I mean, do you like the other stuff more than you like psychological horror?
I think as I grew up on it, my favorite is the Michael Myers, slasher type horror. That's always been my favorite. But the psychological horror stuff, I enjoy too. I mean, as long as it's scary, I'm good with it. I mean, do you consider Nightmare on Elm Street psychological horror?
No. Well,
I kind of do.
Yeah,
I think it is.
To a certain degree, but I guess, okay, so let's go back to Picture of Dorian Gray, the old movie that came out in the 30s. Did you ever see that?
Right. Yes, of course.
I love that. I think that's awesome. I think, you know what I mean? It has everything in it that is like, exactly what I love. And I see so few intelligent, and I'm not trying to insult anyone, but I see so few intelligent psychological horror movies now. The Others is one I can think of that I thought was really good, but that came out some time ago. But I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Like, can we look for those movies coming out, or is that just something that you're not into?
I have to say that Unhinged, my movie that I'm doing next with Mickey Rourke, is more psychological, but it has a supernatural edge to it. So it's more fantastical psychological, but how these supernatural events affect all the characters' actions and thoughts, and how it haunts them, and all this over years of time, whatever the situation's been going on. So yes, I mean, I enjoy psychological stuff, but the problem with it usually is that the audience skews younger in horror films these days.
Yeah.
They go for the money. So it's simpler for the younger generation that knows, something jumping out at them. That's what they like. They're used to it. I mean, even the Conjuring, which, is the story of when I was a kid, the second one, Conjuring 2, opens with the Amityville Horror House, which I'm in Long Beach and I was in, Amityville, a few towns away. And that's a great psychological haunt, the Amityville Horror, more than stuff jumping out.
Right.
But, in Conjuring 2, they set it up that there's this demon trying to get her and there's this big story, but there's still stuff jumping out at her. The ghost boy and all that stuff just jumps out.
Right.
So they mix it up. They mix it up because they want to give you what you expect when you pay your money.
Yeah, I hear you. But I still think, having said all of what I said, I still think The Exorcist, the first one, is the most frightening thing I've ever seen to this day. What do you think?
I think it's pretty scary. I think the idea of it, it makes you think about a soul and what how, if you put it in today's jargon, it would be negative energy. How the bad things we do creates negative energy. So I mean, it's a very smart story, and it's I don't know if I really call it though horror though. I mean, Picture Dorian Gray is more. I would think, isn't it more of a thriller?
Yeah. But you're right. Right. But it's still horrific to me,
Right. Everett, I want to get you in here. Do you have what's your thoughts on horror? What makes a good horror movie for you?
I think I'm a little biased, but I think it would have to be the audio effects and the soundtrack. When you can close your eyes and picture the movie in your head based on what you're hearing, that makes a really good movie to me. I mean, you look at Freddy Krueger. What is he without the sound of those blades on his hand? There are so many. There are so many aspects to the audio that kind of are overlooked, and I think that if you can close your eyes and picture the movie in your head and create it in your mind, that makes for a really good horror movie.
Mm-hmm. And that brings up a good point for Ian. Ian, you look at, Freddy Krueger's blades, like Everett said, or you look at Jaws, where Jaws kind of, the dun-it, everybody knows what that means. I mean, it's been 40 plus years since Jaws, and people are still hearing that when they go into their local swimming pool. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's funny, we all talk about sound because sound design in a horror movie is extremely important. And, it's just been discovered as they study the brain and the flight or fight response that we react to sound before we react to sight or smell. Because our best defense is hearing something further away than we can see it or smell it. So if you watch Halloween, or, because these are easy, because you hear that sound before you actually see Michael or the knife or something. Slow it down to frame by frame, and you'll see that you hear that sound or the music, whatever, before you ever see him. Before he ever hits anyone with a knife or kills anyone, that sound is always first, because that's the scare. It's not so much Michael killing someone. It's that sound that sets us off a fight or flight response going.
Right.
Which actually...
No, I think that's real important, and I never really thought about it, about the sound there. That, you think music. I mean, when I think of Freddy Krueger, I also think of, the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, 3, 4, better close or lock the door. That's kind of the way I look at it as well. And I just find it very, very intriguing how much the sound actually plays such an important part. But I didn't realize that was the sense that kind of hits you first.
Right.
Right. It's usually music, or if they really want to scare you, it's the sound first. They're creating tension. You'll hear music first, then the sound, then the kill, or whatever jumps out. If you're trying to just really... if it comes out, something coming out of nowhere, you'll hear like something move, like in The Fog when Father Malone gets up and scares the hell out of people from the dark. He's just sitting in a chair, but you hear the chair move on the stone before he gets up. So you're already scared by the time he appears. And John Carpenter is a master of that.
So when you're creating a horror movie, do you have to, is the killing then, or the gore of it all, is that secondary to creating the right sound and the suspense that goes along with it?
Well, I think it's kind of like a delicate dance that you have to balance with, because you can create big scares with just sounds. I mean, this is done in haunted house movies all the time. But if you're really trying to put it together, you write your story. You put in your scares, you write your story, and then let the director and the sound designer take over. And then the producer comes in and goes, it works or it doesn't. That should be scarier. But usually, when you're writing it, you don't think about it. You just think about something jumping out or a 3-tier scare, how they shoot it. Because, I mean, even in episode 50, there were a couple of scares that just didn't work. It wasn't shot, right, because we were on a really tight schedule because it's a low-budget movie. So something always, you try to do something fast, and sometimes it doesn't work. So you always try to think up new scares or quick things you can shoot extra. But, in a big movie with a big budget, it's really not done. So if you ever watch the dailies, it doesn't even look like a professional film most of the time. It's only when you get it all edited and you get your sound and your music and everything in, all of a sudden, you could take just a surprise into a huge scare. I mean, there's guys that just work on that. Like there's, sound, horror sound designers. They're known for doing the sound for horror films.
Ian, I got to change topics here again because I'm curious. I know you're a big music historian, a big music buff, all right? And I got to get your opinion on something. Last week I had a young lady on, and we were talking, Tina Foster, actually a week ago tonight. She is a lawyer in Washington State who is just finishing up a book on the conspiracy of Paul McCartney and whether or not we are dealing with the real Paul McCartney or a fake Paul McCartney, which many people have nicknamed Fall. Do you think that Paul McCartney died in 1966?
Probably not. I don't think so. But my only feeling on this is that after 1966, he still made good music. So that would be the only thing I would judge it on. I mean, I I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know. I wouldn't say anybody's wrong, but that's just my opinion. Because the music is so good. I mean, you could put in someone that looks like him, but to actually recreate the talent of the guy, I don't know.
Everett, I know you had some big words on that as well, that you weren't buying that conspiracy theory either.
No, I don't buy it. I think that some of her points were interesting, but there are too many variables. I mean, how do you create another Paul McCartney? And when you look at the music catalog after that supposed date, it's hard to find one Paul McCartney. To have a backup just in case just doesn't fit with me.
That looks the same, plays the guitar right-handed, which is odd. Just
left-handed.
Left-handed. Apologize. Yeah, it's just odd. It's very odd.
But, there are some nuggets out there that do point to the possibility. So I won't completely disregard it or anything like that, but I have a hard time accepting it.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Corrine? Where did Corrine go? Did she put her microphone on mute? She must have.
I'm sorry. I did put it on mute because I was
figured
typing.
that. I figured that.
I'm sorry. I agree that I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Have you ever tried to channel the dead Paul McCartney?
No, not yet. I'm getting to them one at a time.
You got to do that. Do that an experiment for us. Do that experiment for us.
Well, John Lennon's coming on my show, channeled John Lennon pretty soon, so I'll ask him, did Paul really die in 1966? And I'm pretty sure he's going to laugh at that, but we'll see.
All right. Ian, I'm surprised that you weren't jumping all over that because, I mean, you're big into what has happened in the rap scene and Tupac Shakur. We've talked about that on the show, whether or not Suge Knight had anything to do with his murder. You remember that show,
right? Of course, yeah.
I'm surprised you're not. I'm surprised you're not jumping all over this, man. I really am surprised.
Because I mean, until Andy Kaufman or Jim Morrison or somebody that disappeared comes back and they're actually alive, because how could you ever make a decision on that? I mean, it's like if the music's still coming and they're performing and and there's all these people that would have to be fooled or be in on it, it's hard to believe. But at the same time, you don't rule it out because there's nothing to say that it's not true. I mean, there's no definitive proof that it's not true. So, and it's very intriguing. When you go through it, it's like the structures on the moon or the structures on Mars. You could look at it for some pictures, and it's like, well, maybe it is a mountain or something. Maybe it's just shadow. You look at another picture, and it goes, wow, that's a face. So, until we go back to Mars and actually land there, or until someone is found, a body's found or dug up, I'm going to leave the door open, but doubtful.
Yeah, but I mean, that hologram of Tupac Shakur that they did at Coachella a number of years ago, that was pretty impressive, man. It looked very real.
So does Ronnie James Dio's hologram. I mean, pretty soon, they'll bring back Bruce Lee and put him in a movie. That's where they're headed with all this stuff. They already did it to Peter Cushing.
Well, I guess we'll see what's happening here. Ian, you're going to stick around through the news?
Well, I'll be here. I'll be on the phone. I'll be here. Sure.
All right.
Hey, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do the news? The news will be here tomorrow. I'd love to hear more Ian. We didn't get much of Ian tonight.
We can do that.
Yeah, no, I'll stick around. Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's cancel the news section for tonight then.
I know Ian's got some stories to tell us.
Okay, I mean, whatever. You're the host. I'm down for whatever.
But you're also Ian Holt, and you carry a very powerful conch around here, man.
I appreciate that. But I'll do whatever you want. I'm
All
always
right.
good.
All right. I got a question.
I have fun no matter what we do.
Ian, I got a question from Gail in the chat room. She is asking, Ian, does it ever cross your mind that these bad things could wiggle into you, when we were talking about horror movies, and damage your spirit?
There's a lot of things like that. You know, there's stuff in hoodoo that can do that. Different potions. There's aromas that can take your spirit. There are side vamps out there that can just stand next to you and pull your energy. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of different. I mean, you know, we've seen movies where these little creatures come in and suck out your life force. You know, we've seen all different kinds of stuff. So, I mean, there are things in legend that can. A succubus, perfect example.
Okay,
Yeah,
but Ian,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you.
I was just going to ask Ian if he had ever heard of or knows of any directors or producers who, just being involved in the horror industry, were negatively affected or had psychological effects just from the process of making a horror movie.
Well, there are a couple that I know. Charles Getty, you know, he tried to make a movie over 10 years while battling addictions, and the movie was about addictions, and, you know, it affected him so much, pouring everything he had into it, that he committed suicide, right? Either it was right before or right after the movie got released. You know, and they said the movie got into his head. I mean, you could even see it in New Nightmare with Wes Craven. I mean, you know, Freddy Krueger was actually a dream demon that he had from his research. He was a professor. That's how he started. And one of his, some of his research was about, I think it was Hindu, you know, dream demons and things like that. And he, you know, I forget the story exactly, but Freddy to him was a fake version of what really attacked him. That's why he made New Nightmare, because it was based on what happened to him before he made the movie. So he just put it afterwards. But I mean, we all, you know, there are nights when I'm writing really late. Now the lights will be out in the house. I'll get out. There'll be a noise. You'll be like, because you're already like juiced. But yeah, I think you can be affected by all of it. You know, there's always, you know, you could psych yourself out, sure.
Like, do you know of any? Let me just ask this here. Do you know of anybody who has been affected negatively by the characters they've created?
Yes. The character, I forget his real name, but his character in the movie, the Pro, Fun Boy. He was a drug addict, this wild guy, and, you know, kind of dirty and nuts. And the actor that played him was the one holding the gun that had the broken fake bullet blank that killed Brandon Lee. And over time, he basically turned into Fun Boy and eventually overdosed and died. It was, he'd been in and out of, you know, rehab and mental hospitals, but he never recovered from what happened, and you almost can understand it.
But you've had nobody that you know of or have heard of who have, say, you know, like with Wes Craven or somebody along those lines, where they became their own characters because they believed them or they were possessed by them. I mean, I'm thinking, you know, in the terms of, if we look at it, you know, with a mythical character like Slender Man, okay, that was just a piece of writing that turned into this energetic creature that people allege are now seeing. Right? And I'm just wondering if that has happened in horror movie type situations.
I don't think, not that I've heard of or I've experienced, but I mean, you know, a lot of movies have curses on, like Poltergeist, where everyone died making it, or, you know, what was it, Genghis Khan with John Wayne. You know, so there are movies that sometimes they feel a curse. I mean, even the actors on it that start to believe it and feel their curse, they start believing their curse because of the events. It doesn't even have to be a horror movie. So, I mean, we are heightened feeling people anyway in the arts. So, I mean, you know, you get in our head a little bit, we'll start believing anything, especially if you're training with Strasberg, that you have to experience everything in order to act it. So, you know, you could really screw with Strasberg student.
Well, that brings up another point, though. We all hear about athletes who are very superstitious and very routine in their ways because they don't want to have anything harm the role that they may be on or the hot streak that they may be on. Does that happen in movies too, with actors and actresses getting superstitious over things?
Oh, yeah. Oh, superstition is absolutely part of every movie, everything. Like you can't go on the stage and mention the play Macbeth. You got to call it the Scottish play, otherwise, you know, all manner of bad things will happen. I mean, there's luck. It's just like almost like on a baseball field with all the rituals and superstitions and stuff. You know, I mean, it's especially in the theater. There's a lot more. They believe actors hang around. You know, there's a lot of superstitions when you're doing film. You know, you gotta. It's almost funny, and everyone brings their own stuff because you got people from all different walks when you see the movie, so all different backgrounds. So you get stuff from the islands, from Europe, from everywhere. People have different good luck things, or when they start editing, or before they start shooting, you know, they'll all do a. People are like want to call on the gods or the voodoo spirits to protect the movie and make it good, and all kinds of things. Yes, very superstitious like that.
Would you hire a superstitious actor who is, say, you know, at the point where it almost becomes diva-ish?
You know, a lot of times you don't know until you work with someone, start to work with them. So sometimes you can get caught with something like that, and you didn't know that about them because you really only see them performing until you're hanging out with them, actually working with them for months at a time. Do you really know anything personal about them? So you can get caught with that easy. If I knew it in advance, I mean, you know, if they're going to have voodoo ceremonies and, you know, and kill chickens or sacrifice lambs or whatever, I don't know if I'd hire them, you know. But if it's just dangling a crystal or holding a rabbit's foot, why not? Yeah.
Corinne?
Well, interesting, because before I came on here tonight, I was talking to a woman who clears houses and people. And she was saying that a lot of the people, or most of the people that she's been clearing the houses of and their own, you know, bodies of negative things were artists, actors, musicians, artists of some sort. And I thought that was very interesting because I wonder if they're more prone to getting attacked, or if they're just, their temperament is different. I don't know. I mean, I'm still like thinking about it, you know, I don't know.
Could it be in some spiritual way they're more connected to something?
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, Eric, too. Because, I mean, obviously, as an artist, as a creative person, you're kind of, you know, you're kind of channeling things in a sense. And could be more prone to that, you know, getting influenced by certain energies or whatever. But I wondered if Ian had encountered that too. I mean, dealing with actors and such, Ian, you must deal with some pretty people that seem to be off. In other words,
yeah. I mean, one of the prominent things that go on, especially during auditions, is if you get a bunch of bad auditions, or you don't get hired or called back or whatever. There are people that go for all different kinds of, getting rid of negative energy, cleansing your aura, or, all different kinds of, all different kinds of things that you hear, crystal things, different rituals or whatever, cleansing rituals, whatever you want to call them, to bring them good luck, to change their luck. There's an old saying in the industry that everything is, it's more than talent or looks, it's really luck. So a lot of people do things to try and bring them good luck. So yeah, there is a lot of that. I mean, you'll hear stories about people trying Santeria rituals and voodoo rituals and all kinds of different things to try and, like a love potion you've heard about, try like a good luck potion or, something like that, or clearing any negativity from them. So, and it's, in the business, you play an evil character, sometimes it stays with you, they say. So they try and do something to cleanse them from because you convince yourself in your mind that you're doing these things, these bad things, because you have to act it, so it could leave behind negative feelings, so you try and cleanse it. You hear about this all the time. I don't personally buy into it for myself, but you hear about it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that kind of what happened with Heath Ledger and the Joker character?
Mm.
Yes. I mean, Heath Ledger's Joker, he actually went into a depression, and, he just didn't feel right after playing it. We hear this, we've heard this story before with like, what the hell, what was it? Hannibal Lecter. Anthony Hopkins talks about the character was with him for a long time, when you play a character that intensely or that horrible and you go for it with 100% intensity, those things, that I really believe that there's negative energy or dark matter, whatever you want to call it, dark energy, all around us in the universe. We know it's there, we just don't know what it is. So I think that we attract it when we feel that we've done something wrong, or we feel that we've done something bad, or we act poorly. It attracts to us, and that creates our I don't know, our bad luck or bad juju, whatever you want to call it. And I think the more we collect over time, where we go when we die, whether we go to the positive energy that we see in the universe or the negative that we can't see, it all becomes part of it. So you want to cleanse yourself. I believe it's all connected. Part of it's mental, how we feel, is what we give off as we feel. That's the kind of energy we attract, and then it affects our personality, our interactions with other people, our luck, whatever you want to call it.
I find that very interesting. I really do find that interesting that, these actors get so immersed. I mean, it reminds me of Jack Nicholson, in The Shining, when you see the behind-the-scenes characters where he's, psyching himself up to go nuts.
Well, yeah, and also actors feel things more. That's what makes them actors. Artists feel things more. So, where you, a regular person walking around, may not think about it or feel this stuff, but an actor usually is more in touch with their emotions, their feelings. They have to be. And, it affects actors more, or artists more.
I'd like to switch gears here just for a second, because something Ian had said kind of brought something to mind. he had mentioned the Poltergeist franchise and some of the quote unquote curses that surround that. Ian, do you know of anything that happened surrounding that sort of reboot of Poltergeist a few years ago? Did the curse kind of continue with that, or did it just sort of fade away?
You know, it's funny, but, you know, when the movie came out, I think it was all, you know, for publicity, but they were talking, everyone was asking about that, and they'd say, oh, there was some weird things moving on the set, you know, it was like, there were noises, and we saw shadows. That's not what the original Poltergeist filmed. That's not what happened. You know, I mean, people actually died. You know, there was something going on with that movie. We're on the set, everything. I mean, there's so many stories about things that went wrong that they try to play it off. I don't think it was anything real. I think it was more pumped up for publicity.
Very strange. Very, very strange. Corrine?
I don't know anything about the poltergeist thing. I'm just reading chat right now and getting a little bit aggravated. But
well, we kind of need your focus here.
Okay. Certainly, there are things that have happened in movies. Like he was talking about Brandon Lee. That whole thing was incredible, in my opinion. I mean, maybe due in part to his father, Bruce Lee dying in a strange way, and then the son dying in a strange way. That was a little freaky. And but this stuff happens in the music business too. Tim Buckley, who was a great artist in the 60s, he died strangely. And then Jeff Buckley, his son, who was very successful in his own right, died in a strange way as well. So, I mean, this prevails everywhere in creativity, you know. Whether there's something negative at play here or, curses. I mean, people believe in curses. I think you can break a curse if you really want to. I'm not sure. I mean, certainly Ian must encounter a lot of this stuff, like I said earlier, in his work as an artist. And so, anyways, what do you think, Ian? It is prevalent in a lot of things, right?
Yes. Well, a curse, as we know it here in America, is different than what it is in Asia. In Asia, a curse is actually a family member or someone close to you that they die with something unresolved, or the body isn't buried correctly, or something's happened, a murder, let's say, or something bad happens, and the spirit can't rest, and it haunts your family. It's called a curse, creating bad things happening until you give the spirit, put it to rest, and give it what it needs or wants. So there's been a lot of talk, and you hear about it a lot of times, that Bruce Lee supposedly had a curse on his family, and who it was or why it happened, or was it put on him by, the tongues, there's so many different stories about Bruce Lee. You don't know what's true and what's not. But, I mean, it is interesting that his daughter said with her mother that she will never act again because she won't tempt fate. And she said something like, their history. So tempt the future fate or their history. And when she said that, it kind of, the history part kind of got me, like, there must be something that they think happened, and it's probably wrapped up in Chinese superstition, which is very different than ours. Like ghosts and things are all different there. So it would be interesting to do some research on it, that's for sure. I mean, you can even talk about this about Charles Manson. I mean, there's a lot of thought. Well, like I said, we found the pentagram hidden in the warden's quarters at West Virginia State Penitentiary. The warden was having devil worship ceremonies with the prisoners, which is probably why the place is so haunted. But Charles Manson wrote there numerous times asking to be transferred to join the Bible study, which now all of a sudden you start thinking, did the prosecutor Bugliosi, hide that this was some kind of, devil worship, sacrifice, ritual, something, more? Was he seeking power? Was he, so there's a lot there, more than we understand about all these things.
Right.
They try to not talk about it. So, what's real and what's rumor is hard because no one's ever confirmed it. Manson, we always hear Manson was a white supremacist or a Nazi, which didn't really happen until he was in prison. His actual motives were to blame the murders on black people so that they would finally rise. White people would attack them and they would be forced to fight back for their freedom. He was actually thinking that the race war that he would start, because it had to start because black people had to fight back after all that was done to them, and the white people and black people would kill themselves and he would rise as a new leader, Messiah almost.
Mm-hmm.
So in his own sick, it wasn't really a racist thing that he was. It was about the downtrodden people and all that stuff in the 60s. That's what we were told it's all about, but it sounds kind of crazy. So it sounds much the way they were murdered and everything. It's more likely that it was some kind of crazy, satanic ritual that they were trying to do. I don't know. Because he always wanted power and he thought about controlling people's minds and their voice, which is very similar to the stories about Hitler and how he supposedly worked with this illusionist who did a ritual, who brought in a demon that possessed Hitler, that he was able to take over the crowd. That's why he looked so crazy. So, I mean, there's all these stories around.
We're going to get to the thought of the day, everyone. Here we go. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and then we read your responses to the Thought of the Dave. So today's Thought of the Dave, in honor of Ian, was what makes a good horror movie? And this is your responses. Let's get to Keith. Reverend Keith, to be honest. 2 things make a good horror movie: opening the closet door where the monster hides, but never showing the monster. And number 2, crossing human taboo lines: death, protection in your home, little kids, blood, otherness. Wow. Cat. Imagination, suspense, relief, then suspense, then relief. Repeat tension and relief steps are good for you, and that makes a good film. Angie rings in. Hot and bothered teens in the woods with high heels and hilarity ensues. Zion. Women falling and rolling on the ground when running away from the killer through the woods. How does that always happen, Ian? Why are people so clumsy when they're being chased?
Because it creates suspense. So you see, Michael and all these guys, Jason, they never run. They never run after anyone. They just casually walk. So you have to close the gap somehow, so they trip over a branch or something.
It's terrible.
It's a gimmick that we use all
old.
the time because you don't want the bad guy to run because he's totally in control.
Yeah. It's getting old, man. Getting old. Nobody looks over their shoulder running down a trail. You have to watch where you're going. People, if you are being stalked by a killer who is walking at less than half a mile an hour and you're running at 20 miles an hour, do not look back. You will run away. That's the idea of it. Chris says, characters that run upstairs when they should run out the front door, saying, I'll be right back before getting killed by the bad guy, and boobs. What does boobs have to do anything with?
Well, usually, the audiences, again, the studios and the creators of this stuff like to put this stuff in because the audience goes, oh, no, he said, I'll be right back. That has a lot to do with Scream. I mean, remember, they made a big deal out of it.
Right.
In Scream, in the first one. Now it's like, people say that in the movie and everyone goes, in the theaters, cheers. It's almost like, audience participation lines at, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right. Kevin, or Kevin's Beard, we're never sure who it actually is. Two separate entities, says, when it's based on a true story. Andrew chimes in, pretty much anything that can give a scare, but it's the anticipation, then a great delivery, which makes the experience frighteningly fun. Sean jumps in, gore, jokes, and boobs. Really? Like, come on with the boobs.
Well, name a movie that boobs didn't enhance.
Platoon.
Would have been better with boobs.
A Few Good Men.
Would have been better with boobs.
Yeah, in the 80s, they had a lot more. Let me tell you guys this. You want to hear a shocker about a horror movie?
Yeah. We got about 90 seconds, bud.
Little girl lives down the lane. Jodie Foster's supposed to be 13. Martin Sheen's trying to hit on her. I've only seen her off TV up until a few weeks ago where I got the DVD and she's totally naked in it. And she's supposed to be 13. That's crazy.
Wow.
So we're talking about boobs.
Boobs. Interesting. We got time for a couple more here, so I'm going to race through these. Christopher Garitano, who's been a guest on this show. Suspense, the unknown, primal fears and combination of sound, music, vision, creativity, originality, power, and dramatic pause. Len, blood, guts, an ugly monster, and a beautiful girl with boobs. Really? Really? Like, come on. Come on. John, for me, I really like jump scares. I also think the gore is hilarious because I know it's not real. I'm always saying, oh my God, that's sick. Then I giggle like a little schoolgirl, like the scene in Hostel where the girl's eyeball is hanging out. Yeah, that's my favorite scene in the movie. So nasty. And that's where we're going to call it right there. Ian Holt, I'm glad you made it for an abbreviated version, my friend.
My apologies again, and I'm glad I was here. Say hi to everyone. Enjoyed it very much.
We
Make it
love
up
you.
to everyone, I promise. Thank
You
so
will.
much.
Your next appearance will be the day before Halloween, so it will be your Halloween, but I'm still waiting 3 hours. So make sure you get a nice costume on for us.
I will do that. And, just so you know, my girlfriend, I found out, and it was supposed to be a cosmic thing, was born on the 13th, Friday the 13th.
Oh, and weird.
So, in October, which is just
wow.
So, right? So perfect.
Well, we'll see you October 30th, the day before Halloween. I want to say thank you to Corrine DeWinter and Everett Thiemer and Bill Hauser for jumping on in. Uncle Dale from the chat room calling in with a Power Stash mustache call there. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Tomorrow night on the show, Johnny Enoch will join us. We're going to talk about the origin of aliens coming to Earth. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Also, want to remind you, you can go right after this show to questers.ca. That's questers.ca. Click on the fall conference. Get your tickets right now for the first annual Caribou Paracon presented by Spaced Out Radio, September 28th through 30th. Special thank you to everyone listening in tonight, everyone on Spreaker, Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, Rev Radio's chat room, and the Veterans Club, the SOR Space Travelers. Thanks for sharing the show, telling your friends to make us a little bit bigger each and every night, because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.